Hello and welcome to Ginger Welsh Allotments. I am Bethan and I hope you are all well. Today I've managed to get over to my plot, which I think I've only been over here twice this year because things just keep getting in the way. But I'm over here now, so I thought I'd show you what's going on over here. I'm starting right at the top of my plot because I have managed to put in a small flower bed in this corner. I put it in last week and I've got 6 foxgloves, some tulips and some daffodils in there. And the reason foxgloves are in there is I had to dig them up from the border in my garden because now we've got chickens. Foxgloves are poisonous to chickens, as are the Solanaceae family, so I'll not be growing any potatoes, tomatoes or deadly nightshade and aubergines anywhere near the chickens this year, or any other year in fact. And while I'm on the new bed, if you can see the new border around the bed, I got that from B&Q, which is a local hardware store in Britain. And at the front of a lot of the B&Q stores, they now have a charity bin. And what they do is they put the offcasts of wood they no longer want, or that they've cut down to size and can't do anything else with, into that bin. And then if you give a small donation to charity, you can take whatever out of the bin. And I managed to get all this surround out of one of those bins, so I wanted to pass that on to you in case you had any stores near you and you could go and see for yourself if they've got anything that you need for your allotment. So we got some nice Brussels sprouts come in, all ready for eating. And the kale, I took off all the leaves that had gone onto the floor and left the good looking stuff to be harvested at another later date. Cavolo Nero kale is doing well as well. And down here I've got my broccoli rab plants, which, if you can see over there, that one has bolted. Well, it's gone to flower, but I think if I take the top off I might be able to salvage some of the others. And with this one here, if I cut it sort of at that base there with some of the leaves, it might encourage more of the broccoli to grow. The same thing happened last year. I didn't really keep on top of harvesting and then the flowers come out, but I shall harvest that. That will be the last thing I do before I go home, and hopefully we'll have a nice lot of broccoli. All this is where my runner beans were, and I've got a couple of bulbs of celery left in there. Only a couple of leeks left in the ground now, but I would rather use up all the leeks and then have to buy them than not use them and have to put them in the compost. And also in this bed there are parsnips. You can see some of the foliage has died off, but there are parsnips in one row, and there are carrots at the end there, and then that green fronds over there, that's all salsify, which I took up a couple and took them home and boiled them, but I wasn't very fussed on them. I'm going to give them another try. I might try roasting them next time, but I think they might not be growing on my allotment next year. Well, this year actually, isn't it? And I've just got some golden beetroot up there and some purple beetroot down here, which I'll leave in until the spring, and hopefully when the soil warms up they'll grow and I'll get an early crop of beetroot. The overwintering garlic is coming along, although I don't know if you can make it out amongst all the weeds, so I do need to do some weeding over here. And as I said, I haven't had much chance. This isn't all garlic, by the way, these are all onions from here onwards, but I haven't had much of a chance to get over here. And when I have been over here, I've only been here in sort of hourly intervals, but providing the weather is good, I can get a fair amount of weeding done in an hour. So that's going to be one of my jobs to do in the coming months, just to try and get on top of the weeding and just snatch a couple of hours here and there to get it done. Down the bottom here are shallots, but there's no sign of them coming up, and I did plant them quite late in December, so that's probably why. And this one has got about 4 celeriac bulbs growing in the middle there, and then at the top I've got some spring onions, and then I've got some radish growing there. I never really planned to have radish grown over the winter. I was expecting to harvest this October time, but nothing came, so I just left them in the ground. And up here there's some turnips, which again, now they're sort of showing a bit of something, I'm going to leave in and see how they do over the spring. And the radish I might take out too. Just up from the celeriac and turnip bed are the first lot of Brussels sprout plants that I planted. I sowed these in April time and planted them out, and then I sowed the others probably June time. And I think that June time is better because these ones have got an awful lot of whitefly infestation in them, so they're not really that great. Although they've grown, I don't really want to eat anything from them because they're just covered in whitefly. So this coming year I'm going to plant my kale and my sprouts and possibly my purple sprouting broccoli in June instead of I'm going to sow them in June rather, instead of sowing them in April. I've done a harvest today. I've got some kale, some celery, some leeks, carrots and 2 celeriac, and down here are some parsnips, and I cut this parsnip when I was digging it out, so I'll cook that up tonight and mash it and it should be fine. That's all that's left in this bed now, is some leeks and parsnips either side, so I might harvest the rest of those leeks before we go home today. And I wanted to show you this bed because I don't know if any of you remember, but my children helped me plant the broad beans in this bed and I haven't had a miss. They've all come up, and I only planted 1 seed per station, and afterwards I thought, oh, maybe I should have planted 2 just for good measure, but fortunately they've all come up. So I was really pleased to show my children that when we were over here the other day. And one of the jobs I did do this morning was to put these small bamboo canes in, because I'm going to stake all of the broad beans in the spring, but I wanted to put the bamboo in now so that the holes were there, so when I put a bigger stake in, it didn't cut through any roots that were growing. So now hopefully the roots will grow around the canes that are already there. And I have some spinach growing here, which I could probably harvest a couple around the outside and have some baby spinach, which would be nice to go with the radish over there. And this is Swiss chard, which again is growing quite nicely now. On this bed, that's all that's left of the carrots now. So I'll soon be buying leeks and carrots by the look of it, but that's no problem. I don't mind that. I'm quite happy. Just down from the blackberries, I've got my rhubarb, which has started to come through. This variety is Timperley early, and there's no sign of anything on the Victoria yet. Oh, and this is the beds I was working on when you saw me doing my little gnome dance the other day. Well, I've covered it all now with the black fabric and left the cardboard where I'm going to be putting the beds. Oh, and one of the other jobs I did today was to cut down my raspberry canes. So that's what's in my wheelbarrow. There's an awful lot to keep me busy over here at the moment, and I think there's always going to be an awful lot to keep me busy really, but we'll get there in the end, and I'm not going to stress too much about what gets done and what doesn't get done. I'm just going to try and keep on top of the weeding and get my fruit cage in if I can, and then anything else I get done will be a big bonus. So that's it from me for today. All I can say about that is lovely job.